Good morning and welcome back to the 8 o'clock hour of the WRMN Morning Show with your host, me, Susie C., and Elliot, the L Train Serrano. It is 8:07 and we've had a weird morning on this weird Wednesday, but it's been a good morning other than it's freezing.
It is freezing outside right now. We're looking at a 44 degrees with a, 44 degrees with a real feel of 40. Today it's going to be windy and chilly with periods of clouds and sunshine, high of 49. Tonight will be clear, but it's going to hit a low of 35. WRMN Morning Show Sports Report. We do know that the Chicago Bears, our very own Chicago Bears, will be playing against the Baltimore Ravens this Sunday in Baltimore. You can catch all the action here on WRMN Radio, both all the pregame, in-game, and post-game action here on the stick. The WRMN 1410 AM is the official home of the Chicago Bears here in the Fox River Valley. Don't miss that. And yes, it is a weird Wednesday. Let me pull that up again. Let's set the mood here. I should have that. Okay, that's good. All right, I got the mood. As we've been saying throughout the show today, it is a weird Wednesday, and we've got some guests today to talk about the weirdness and the weirdness that they know about. I want to welcome Mark Muncy. He's an author of paranormal history, horror, and science fiction. He has spent more than 3 decades collecting ghostly tales and reports of legendary beasts. His best-selling book for the History Press includes Eerie, Appalachia, and he is the co-host of the Eerie Travels podcast. We are also welcoming Erika Lance, who is a writer of horror, suspense, sci-fi, and a little fantasy. She's also the CEO of Four Horsemen Publications and the co-host of the Drinking with Authors and Eerie Travel podcasts. Welcome, Erika and Mark, to the WRMN Morning Show.
Good morning.
Greetings, travelers. Hi.
Travelers.
Let me bring down this background music. There we go.
Oh, you guys look great this morning. Good morning. It's early.
Just another Wednesday for us. So.
Well, it's definitely a weird
look stepping out of bed in the morning.
Aw, nice. Yeah, it's definitely a weird Wednesday for us, so welcome in.
No, I was telling Erika in the chat, I love her hair. I love this.
I wish mine would go that color. I wish.
That. It looks great.
Yep.
Genetics, thank you. Yeah, no, COVID made me lose my hair. He didn't die. He just, I couldn't go see him. And then I was like, you know what? I'll just let it grow.
It looks
gorgeous.
It looks great. And Mark, you dye your hair to match hers? Is that what you're doing there?
Yeah, I went for the silver fox look. So,
there you go. Yeah. Yeah. The fox going there.
Yeah.
All right.
It wound up looking more like Colonel Sanders, but
Get some chicken. Get some reanimated chicken while we're at it.
Yeah.
For folks who are not watching us on the YouTube, you can see Mark's got an interesting collection of things in the background there, which is really cool.
Yeah, when you write spooky books for a couple decades, the algorithm finds you, and then things just start finding you too. So. Just how it works.
He's understating the fact that he likes to collect weird and haunted items. So his kids always are like, yeah, don't bring that home. And he's like, no, I'm going to bring it home. And so I'm on the other hand, I'm like, nope, no, thank you.
All right, so that's a perfect setup there. You say you have weird and haunted items. Mm-hmm. My co-host's eyes just widened when you mentioned that. What are some of the quote unquote haunted items you have?
Well, I did the documentary on Curse of Robert the Doll for Discovery Channel a few years ago, one of their shock jocks, and so the doll here over my shoulder, she got sent to me. There's a few other dolls around that haunted locations get visitors from paranormal teams and stuff trying to do investigations, and they'll bring dolls to trigger actions with the kid ghosts and stuff like that. And what happens is they sometimes leave those there, and then the kid ghosts go, hey, these dolls are bothering me because these dolls are spooky. So the most haunted dolls, they go, what do we do with these? And they're like, oh, send them to Muncy. He'll find a home for them. And 9 times out of 10, they wind up just staying here instead of me sending them on to other places.
So wait, are we saying that we've got cliques in the ghost world? Like somebody goes, yeah, well, I don't want this guy here. Yeah, send him out. Send him somewhere else. You know,
it's kind of we do we do Bigfoot, UFO, ghosts, all the things, and there are very much cliques where like the Bigfoot people won't talk to the ghost people, and the ghost people won't talk to the UFO people, and then the UFO people won't talk to anybody except UFO people.
Interesting.
And aliens.
Yeah. They
They
will
talk
talk.
to aliens.
Yeah.
where does the Yeti fall in all this? Like, is he?
Cryptid.
Yeah, he's a cryptid. He is a type of he's similar to the Sasquatch. We learn these things have terrible names, especially in Florida. So, like Sasquatch, Bigfoot, Florida, he's the skunk ape. Here in the Smoky Mountains, he's called the old man of the woods by the Cherokee.
Or the Boojum.
Or the Boojum. Yeah, they get dumb names all over.
Or the White Thing. And the Yetis are mainly found over in Asia, is where those rumors are from. I think we'd go down a rabbit hole with the difference between a White Thing, which is a white or silver-backed Bigfoot, and a Yeti, which is supposed to be in the mountains of Asia. So
yeah, like the abominable snowman. One of the original hikers up Mount Everest found these weird tracks, and that should be where nobody had been before. And what is this? And Sherpas that were taking them up the mountain said, "Oh, these are the Yeti," and that's where that whole thing came from. So, and there's still don't know if it's there or not.
Very cool.
I have a question. So, okay, what is it about this line of work that? Well, okay, a lot of kids that when you're young, you're like, oh man, I'm really into this kind of ghosts and stuff. But we kind of like shake that as we get older. The world tells us you need to grow up, you need to do this, you need to get a job in an office and be responsible. And then that kind of like all that the stuff with the fantasy and exploring the unknown kind of gets conditioned out of us. How were you folks able to hold on to that?
because we're weird.
I love that.
So for me and Mark, it's very funny because now we've been friends for over a decade, but we actually floated in the same circle since we were teenagers and didn't meet each other until at a convention. Him and his wife were there with one of the books, Eerie, Florida, and then we got together and decided to do this. But I think part of it is we really take a lot of time as adults to try to tell kids that they're being silly or they're not seeing things or whatever. And I think me and Mark were just fortunate, and I'll let him talk in a second, that our parents didn't do that to us. That our parents, in fact, encouraged us. Mark has a great story because his father was a Greyhound bus driver and ran a lot of those fleets and stuff. So, Mark, tell him the story of meeting the Warrens.
Yeah, no, that was just it. Back in the day, I was a monster kid, right? Grew up listening to ghost stories and legends and stuff like that. And, this was the 70s and the 80s in the Bible Belt. So I was going to get burned at the stake if I wasn't careful. And what happened was I really got fascinated with these books by Hans Holzer, who was like the great ghost hunter guy. And I wrote him letters, and then he started writing me back. And then I was really fascinated with this case in England called the Enfield Poltergeist, which for those of you who know the Conjuring movies, that was the second Conjuring movie, very vaguely. But he was telling me, hey, you should write these people who actually investigated that. And they're called Ed and Lorraine Warren. They live in Connecticut. And so I wrote them, and suddenly I got a letter back. And then the next thing you know, they're like, hey, come out to our house. We've got a couple artifacts from the Enfield haunting. And the next thing I know, my dad's driving me to Connecticut from West Virginia and just dropped me off at this old couple's house for a few hours because it was the late 70s, and that's just what you did. These people you never knew. I was like, here, 9-year-old Mark, go hang out with these old couple. I'll be back in a few hours. They study demons. And the next thing I know, I'm in their room, and Lorraine's giving me cookies and showing me through their haunted object collection. And that kind of clicked. And I was like, oh man, I should do this. And then, of course, I became a dad about 10 years later and stopped. But then when my kids started growing up, I got back into it. And that's what I've been doing now for a couple decades.
That is so cool. I'm such a big believer. I've had a ghost for the last 30 years, and he comes around everywhere. And then we had paranormal guys here at the studio in the basement because we knew something was going on, and it was a inveritable. It's like a pathway down there of things coming through. It was absolutely crazy. So I believe it.
You might have an what I call an invisible friend. So I think, we say imaginary friends with kids, but I don't think, even my personal experience, I had an invisible friend. His name was Charlie. Like it was not imaginary, and I know this because my mom told me not to talk about him, but my best friend brought him up and said something about him, and I'd never said anything to her. I think that there's a lot more around us, but we're trained to ignore it and ignore some of the signs. Yeah. And we like to use the word preternatural, which Shirley Jackson put in The Haunting of Hill House. And it really is more something that we don't understand yet. It's not paranormal. It's something we don't understand. And I make reference all the time to the giant squid, because when we were kids, the kraken, the giant squid, growing up, and for years and years, there's no such thing. They never got that big. Those are pirate tales. And now they found them. And now they found things even bigger than them. Now, did they sink ships? Who knows? But they were there. And if you go back in history, there's a lot of creatures that were myths or legends or cryptids, including like the Tasmanian devil, which, if you've never heard what one of these sounds like, look up a YouTube video. Because if you were in a dark woods or out in the outback and stuff, and you heard these things screaming, you would think they were demons and devils out there, but they're like this big and they're cute and fuzzy. So, we live in a world where not everything is explained yet.
I've heard the Tasmanian devil. He's
wrong one, silly. Wrong one.
Different one.
Yeah. You'll be very disappointed if you go see it. You'll be very disappointed if you go see it in the zoo, because they just lay there and do nothing, like I was as a child.
They don't spin around and wreck everything in their path.
And they're very nocturnal, so it's one of those creatures that is a nighttime creature. So you only hear it at night, and you hear it when they're fighting and when they're playing, two different sounds, but still terrifying, both of them. And if you were out there, no real light, using fire, you would be like, we are being haunted by demons. We must slay them.
See, I'm so fascinated by all of this, like I said, and I know who my ghost is. And I think even as a kid, I would see things and I was never afraid. So, I think once you're open to it, so like you guys being open to all of these things, I love this so much. You guys got to come out and check out our studio.
Oh, we'd love to do that.
Yes.
I'll send Mark in, because I have a distinct rule. I call it nope, which is nope. I consider myself very empathic, but a lot of times there's a couple things I have. One is I believe ghost cosplay, because we say child ghosts or whatever, but the fact is that I don't think they're bound by gender, size, age, anything. And the amount of people that have seen, for instance, the ghost of Elvis or Al Capone in places, like if you look up the number of places Al Capone is haunting right now, with quotation marks, it's ridiculous. Me and Mark talk about that all the time. So, if you were a ghost, would you want to be, Bob the ghost, or would you want to be Al Capone the ghost, So I think there's that. But a lot of times haunted places have a tremendous amount of negative energy. There's there's haunted places that don't, but they have a lot of trauma and stuff like that. And I just don't feel like going in there. I'm a firm believer of I'm aware of it. I don't need to go step into it. Where Mark, who will jump in here head first, and he likes tricking me into going to places that are just terrible. He does it all the time to me. He's like, we're gonna stop by and go to this, insane asylum. What?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I took her to the mushroom mines in Oliveville, Kentucky, and it was one of those. It's just this abandoned limestone mine that later on they used to grow mushrooms in it, and now it's abandoned again. And I was like, what a cool place. Let's go in. Let's just take a look, see. We had permission from the owner, which is very important. Always have permission from the owners when you do this stuff. And we got to go in a little bit. And as I was walking in, I was telling her, isn't this amazing? She's like, yeah, this is pretty overpowering. And then I'm like, yeah, and over here's where the 4 murders were. And she, nope, I'm out.
Well, that was when, the night that we were in the basement and we had something that kept setting off the meters. And I went back down by myself or something. And when I looked under the stairs where it was going off a lot, I saw eyes. I ran upstairs and we came upstairs and the thing called my name 5 times.
Oh,
and used
wow.
different names like Sue, Susie, Susan. And I was like, you guys all hear that, don't you? And they're like, yep, we do. I said, I'm not
Okay,
going
so
downstairs alone because it's not coming home with me.
Yeah, that's my whole thing. Nope, that's what we always say. We say set the rules when you walk in. Hi, I'm coming here to visit you. You do not get to leave with me. You know, and a number 1 rule, by the way, for all of your listeners, if something calls your name that you're not expecting, do not reply to it under any circumstance.
All right.
It is never, like we say that in the woods too. Like you'll hear don't whistle in the woods. If you hear something calling to you that you are not expecting, you're not expecting your friend or whatever, do not reply to it under any circumstances. That is a terrible idea.
Yep. No, that's our new book is Dark Side of the Smoky Mountains. So we were deep in Appalachia lore. And I heard you pronounce it Appalachia. That's okay because you're above the Mason-Dixon line. If you're south of the Mason-Dixon line, you call it Appalachia. They will throw in Appalachia.
Oh my gosh.
All right. Appalachia. There we go.
Appalachia out here. But there's so many folklore legends and creatures and stuff like that. And we start looking into that. And I do the history and the folklore. And I talk to the original witnesses and all that. And so we get deep into these things and you learn the rules. It's just like Gremlins and stuff like that. You've got specific rules you follow to make sure you don't have bad things happen to you. And whistling in the woods, you whistle in the woods, Spearfinger will come. And Spearfinger is a Cherokee boogie person that was the stone lady, had a big long finger, of course. That's why she's called Spearfinger. And she would change shape, charm you in, and then use that finger to steal your liver. So don't whistle in the woods. You don't want to lose your liver.
And your liver. Okay.
Oh yeah. Now and what's interesting is Mark dives into these things. I look for cool places to eat and drink and put the humor in. I'm like the person that goes along for the ride and asks all the questions that you want to ask the storyteller. Also keep him on a track because he will go down what we call Muncy rabbit holes where he's like, let me explain this thing for 4 hours. I'm like, nobody wants to hear 4 hours of this. So
some people do.
I say that about this morning show.
Yeah. I want to hang out with you guys. I'm so excited by all of this.
You know what we need to do?
Well,
we need to just switch out. Like they should be in here.
And we
like
should be
hosting
out.
the show. And then we'll go out like to Appalachia and do stuff.
You got it
like
right.
that. There we go.
Yeah, there you go.
I think that's a great idea because I have a chance, it feels like, that one of you may not come back because you would absolutely respond to somebody calling your name.
That would
But it's not
definitely
Sue.
be.
That would be her. Yep. Me, I'd be like, no, Elliot, I don't know.
All right.
Anybody named here Elliot? We are talking to Mark Muncy. He's an author of paranormal history, horror, and science fiction. We also have Erika Lance, also a writer of horror, suspense, sci-fi, and a little fantasy. Erika is also the CEO of Four Horsemen Publications, and both host the Eerie Travels podcast. Tell us a little bit about the podcast. You say you like, Erika, you keep Mark from going down these rabbit holes, but you also like asking the questions that probably the listener is wanting to ask. Like, what are some of the places that you guys have traveled to, some of the more interesting stories, more interesting travels you've had?
Well, we have a ton. So that's what our entire podcast is about. When I met Mark and he had all these folklore and there were places you could go to, I was like, we should do a podcast and talk about all those places and talk about all the, other things you can do in the area. So we actually just came back from the Mothman Festival, which is in Point Pleasant, West Virginia, which is where the bridge disaster was that everybody blames Mothman for. We joke Mothman warns of infrastructure failures. So there's a Mothman Festival, and there's like 40 to 50,000 people that come into this very tiny town. but it's where the original sightings were, which are out near these like munitions factory, which I'll let Mark explain some more of this, but he's talked to several of the original witnesses from when Mothman first appeared. And I will say this, which is funny to me, Mothman got its name because it was described as a Sasquatch looking thing with bat wings. But at the time, the Batman TV show was coming out. So they went, we can't call it Batman because of the TV show. So some reporter went, why don't we call it Mothman? And that is how it got its name. Not because it looked like a moth.
Okay.
Mark, talk a little bit about the area and, your lore.
Well, that whole area, central Appalachia there, is very, very crazy with monsters and legends. West Virginia alone has the Flatwoods Monster, which was like an alien encounter with a crashed spaceship, and dozens of witnesses with this alien creature that is now the Braxton Monster. Again, they get dumb names, so they call it Braxy. We had the Mothman was this incident in the 60s, again, in an area where it was a World War II munitions factory that had been closed and abandoned. So it was a place where kids hung out. And then this strange creature starts flying around and scaring people. But it's all, Trans-Allegheny lunatic asylums in that area. So there's tons of spooky stuff in that area. I will say the scariest place we went was also one of those little dark hollers there. And again, I broke a rule. We always have a rule, always go with two people. And I went one place by myself and went into a holler because this family had wanted to reach out to us to tell us a spooky story about a strange creature that lived in this valley called the Rat Man. And I was very excited to learn about this because I hadn't heard of this one. I love digging into these little holler stories. And this lady invited me over. She starts telling me the story. And the lady across from her, now the way hollers work is there's usually one or two families there, and they're very protective of each other. And this was one family telling me their story, and this other one lady comes across the hall, the street, and says, "What are you guys talking about?" And I said, "It's the Rat Man." And she's like, "Oh," and she goes back to the house and then comes back with a shotgun. So that was when I drove away.
Good idea.
Okay, you know what?
Not supposed to know about the Rat Man.
I've got to hear more. Can you guys hang out for one more segment?
Of course, we'd love to.
Oh, awesome. Awesome.
Absolutely, because we're going to hit the hard break right now, but I definitely want to talk some more.
Yes.
We've got Erika Lance and Mark Muncy of the Eerie Travels podcast talking about the weird things that they've seen, weird things that they write about, that they talk about on this Weird Wednesday. I'm having a lot of fun here. Don't want you to go away. And folks, listeners, don't go away. We'll be right back after this short break. During the break, the camera froze on me again, and this time I don't know how I was making that face.
Oh, I wish I saw it.
I had like a very surprised look on my face, and
Yeah.
I did not want that frozen on screen. So I'm still here. You can hear me, right?
Yeah,
Everyone
I can hear
me?
you. Yeah, I can hear you.
And
our guests are still
and
here.
our guests are still there. Thank
And
God
I'm
none of them
so
are frozen.
excited.
They look fine. They look wonderful as per usual. Again, we are joined by Erika Lance, who is a writer, a paranormal investigator, and a co-host of the Eerie Travels podcast, with Mark Muncy, a fellow author, paranormal history, horror, and science fiction writer. And they are on talking about their different travels, their experiences. We've been having so much fun. Thank you so much for sticking around with us for a little longer. You can't, I need to put in an aside here. Susie can't see it, and our viewing audience on YouTube can't see it because it's kind of cropped out on the YouTube feed. But you've got a classic Captain America shield in the background in your office there. And I'm like,
you are nerding out.
I am
so
nerding
bad.
out at this point. Can I say that? Are you a comic fan? I'm taking.
Yeah. Oh, I'm a nerd on top of everything else. I mean, I've got an El Santo poster back behind me. I've got, Captain America. I've got a whole section of my bookshelf that is nothing but novelizations of comic stories. So, it's like Civil War and Batman No Man's Land and stuff like that. It's that. So, yeah, nerd on top of
Okay.
the
Okay.
paranormal and the
Elliot's
unusual.
almost jumping up and down
Here's
out
the
of
thing.
his seat like a little kid.
I feel like I'm looking at cooler versions of us.
Yeah, way cooler. Way cooler versions of us, totally. Because you and I, Erica, we are in the same thing, and Elliot's nerding out. You guys are a way cooler version of us for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. No, we both grew up nerds. We both did role-playing games. We colored in the dice for Dungeons and Dragons. So anybody who's a true nerd knows what that means. And yeah, no, we both, that's part of, I think, why we get along so well too, is we're both comic book nerds and then fantasy nerds and sci-fi nerds. And then where Mark goes into legends and folklore, I go down the true crime superhighway. So
Oh my God, that's us! What's going on here? They're like a multiverse version.
Hey,
Oh, Big Mike is messing with us.
let's not go down Mandela effects and things like that. Because what? All right. So, real quick question: in your world, in the movie Moonraker, did Dolly have braces? That's my big thing because Mandela effect. I remember the little girl who was Jaws's girlfriend had braces.
Oh my
And now
God,
in
that's
this world-
right.
In this world, she doesn't.
That's right.
So
Holy
that's-
crap, you're right. And I just saw Moonraker recently too for my James Bond podcast.
Oh, he is geeking out hard.
Yeah.
Mark, you and I, we're having drinks.
All right.
doing that.
Yeah. Next time we're up there.
Erica, you can come along.
Oh, good, because I'm a much better drinker than Mark is. Like when we travel, I'm the one that's like, let me try this very weird cocktail that is at this restaurant.
Oh my God, you are my spirit animal. That is it. You are my spirit animal.
Yeah, I'm like moonshine from somebody's backyard. Let's go.
Oh my God, you are my spirit animal.
I think we've got a new show here.
we
got
do.
a new show.
I love that. Drinking with the authors. We'll drink and you. Oh, well, you're an author, Elliot.
Yeah, we're all authors. Yeah.
All
We can do
right.
that.
There we go. And I do I find the best boiled peanuts and the worst barbecue joints, but they're the best food. So
Done.
that's my job. So.
All right, we actually have a caller on the line right now.
All right, let's see who it
let's
is.
See, caller, do you have a question?
Good morning, caller.
We have a question from
Who
Mark
dis?
Muncy and Erika Lance.
Well, to begin with, it's an excellent topic, and you're doing a wonderful job on the interview. I'd like to ask the guests, in their opinion, what is it about human nature where we like to get scared? There's that part of our human nature, it seems, where we like to involve ourselves in these stories, and that's why we go to the horror movies. You know, we like to get scared.
Yeah, it's the serotonin in the brain. It's that same release you get when you've run a 30-mile marathon and you survive. And you're just like, I've survived. It's that same thing, but quicker, right? You got it instantly because somebody jumped out and you went, rah. But it's also, you get that when you watch a horror movie because you get that tense, oh my gosh, are they going to make it? Oh, they made it. Or when the bad guy gets his comeuppance, you're like, yes, it's the same thing. But that goes back to our folklore and storytelling. We've been doing this for years and years and years. We tell the spooky stories by the fire. We've always done that. We always will. And we love to be scared, period.
And I think, folklore originated from one handing down history, but the other thing is it was warnings, like, do not do this because bad things can happen. And a lot of times it was masked around a monster or something terrifying enough to stop you from doing those actions.
Thank you, caller. Thank you very much for your call.
Thanks, Ken.
Yeah.
Good morning,
Stay
caller.
spooky.
You're on the WRMN Morning Show with our guests, Erika Lance and Mark Muncy. Do you have a question?
Yes, how you doing? Good morning, Mark and Erica, Susie C.
Morning, downtown Jose.
I just want to ask you guys, don't laugh, but are reptilians real?
Depends on who you ask. Depends on who you ask.
Are they real?
We talk to so many people about so many things, and that is definitely one that comes up and up and up, and people see some strange stuff from other people that look weird or act weird. And, this goes back to Men in Black. This goes back to all the way back to, again, antiquity. People saw people who didn't act right, didn't talk right, didn't seem right. I don't know if they're reptilians per se, but that's something. Hey, I've been on Coast to Coast AM a few times. We know how that goes. So,
Yeah, I love Coast to Coast. Enjoy the show, and God bless all four of you guys. May have a blessed day.
Thanks, Downtown Jose.
You too, man.
Love you guys.
Oh, we love you too. And one of our other listeners wants to know if you guys have a favorite scary or Halloween movie. So what are your favorites?
So as part of our podcast, we actually for Halloween are talking about our favorite creature features, like movies with creatures in them. So but I will say, so my favorite horror movie is Aliens, the second one, by far, bar none. I will answer Aliens to almost any movie question. What's the most humorous movie? Aliens. Like, I just...
Erika, are you single?
No.
Sadly, no.
All right.
But,
had to shoot my shot.
My go-to is The Haunting, 1963.
That's a good one. That's a good
The
one.
original Haunting of Hill House movie is just tense. It's amazing. I go to the book, and every Halloween, I read it every year, and I watch it every year. And every year, I can't decide, is it in her head, or is it a real haunted thing? It's one of those amazing things. The more you read it, the more you see it, it's bam. It's just so good. And it holds up. Gosh, 1963, and it's still scary as heck. And definitely,
he loves Tremors. He's leaving that out.
That's a good one
Tremors
too.
obsession.
That's a good one.
Yeah,
that's
really
my
go-to creature feature is Tremors and Tremors 2. You got to do them back to back. You got to do them back to back.
That scene when with Reba McEntire and Michael Gross, when you think they're gonna buy it, and then you're like, oh, you broke into the wrong rec room or something.
Yep. Cinema gold there, baby. And I've got that room and another room in the house. But no, we talk about legends. You guys are up in Chicago, right?
Yeah.
So, okay. So you've got your own Mothman, the Chicago Mothman.
I was going to ask about that because that seems to be a thing that is going on now. It's the Chicago Mothman, which I keep thinking it's probably some guy doing his own version of Batman, and it's out there urban legend thing.
It's 150 sightings in the last just several years, and I could be a guy in a wingsuit, but some people swear that it's got the red eyes. It's definitely not the same one that's seen in West Virginia. It's more gargoyle-like instead of like a flying Sasquatch type thing. Again, I think it's something different in the area, but so many people see it and so many people go, wait, this is something. And I'm not sure.
We also talk about, there's some things where, Mark used to run a haunted house and he had this thing there, and we call it a fear monger. We don't have the right word and we don't know what it is, but they tend to appear in places to scare people, and they take different forms depending on who's looking at them and what they're seeing. It's very sort of a chameleon type, whatever it is. And we kind of wonder if that's what this is that people are expecting, because nobody sees this thing and is like, that was cool. They're all like, that was terrifying. So we kind of wonder, is it something cosplaying as a Mothman because everybody's expecting to see it and it's scaring everybody? We don't know.
Well, that leads me to the question, what is something that you did that actually scared you the most? Like, what is something you came across that you were like, okay, that seriously terrified me?
Okay, I've got to start with this because this is actually what really sent me down this road.
Okay, good.
I was a kid in growing up, West Virginia, back hills of Kentucky. There's this legend I'd heard growing up. It's about this cryptid creature basically lived on our family property. And tell me if this doesn't sound like something out of South Park, right? It's got the head of a man, like a misshapen head of a man, a body of a big black cat, and then a wooden leg. And it jumps from tree to tree. Yeah, it's not Man Bear Pig, but sounds like it, right?
Yeah.
It's got the same dumb name. It jumps around from tree to tree, and if you're a bad person on your horse, it uses that wooden leg like a whoop-ass stick and knocks you off your horse. So, and it's this, and now the name of this terrifying creature is the bench leg. Dumb name.
Okay.
Right? Dumb name. dumb story. I grew up hearing this. I wanted to hear ghost stories. I wanted to hear spooky things. And all my whole life, everybody talked about, oh, beware the bench leg, beware the bench leg. And I'm like, come on. And so again, early 80s, I'm in those mountains. I'm looking for Close Encounters of the Third Kind. I'm looking for aliens. I'm looking for all this stuff. I'm walking around the woods at night, and something stirs up the animals near us. And I'm like, what? And I'm alone. I got a little BB gun. And I'm thinking, oh, is it a bear? Or is it something? I'm going to be useless with this BB gun. And it's just going to go, ha, and eat me. But then I see this weird thing run past. And I didn't see a wooden leg, but I saw a weird head. And it ran past me. And I still get goosebumps. I still chills about it. It's just one of those things. So the bench leg of Goble Ridge, I write about it as often as I can. I share the word about it as often as I can. And now there is a bench leg hair cream made in Kalamazoo, Michigan, and it has gone viral. And it uses my lovely wife, Carrie Schultz. She does the illustrations for our books and our podcast. And she drew it for us. And now that illustration of that creature, what I saw, is on a hair gel jar that's gone viral in Vietnam for some reason.
Oh my gosh.
We also had somebody show up. We go to conventions and do live talks, and we had somebody show up at Dragon Con dressed as a bench leg. And Mark lost his mind. We were supposed to start talking, and he just like completely fanboyed out on this costume in front of him. It was amazing. But I will say my scariest, let's see. I get terrified a lot. You know, I did a ghost tour in Orlando, Florida with friends, and we're walking around, and I'm perceiving things, seeing things and stuff like that. And I'm very fortunate that one of my very best friends is very empathetic too. And we get back to where we started, and it was a bar, and they take you upstairs, and you get a picture, ghost tours. But we walked in, and I was like, I felt it. There was something wrong. There was something very wrong. But everybody's like, Trump, Trump, Trump. And I'm like trying not to be that person. And we go up this spiral staircase, and I couldn't breathe. I felt like I was being choked, like literally doubled over, like I was being choked. And my friends had to help me back down the stairs, and they were like, what is going on? And I'm like, I don't know. Something was literally choking me. And it felt like something, for lack of a better way of saying it, was shoved down my throat. And there's nothing there. And I couldn't breathe. And just the other day, I was talking to a friend of mine, and she went to drop off, she's a baker. She went to drop off some things at a funeral home because they had placed a big order. And as she pulled up, she started to have this sensation, and she texts me because she had it and it went away, and she texts me, and I'm like, do you remember when we were on this ghost tour in Orlando? And that was years ago. She's like, yeah. I'm like, that's what happened to me. And she was like, that is terrifying, because it only happened to her for a couple seconds, but it happened to me for almost a minute.
And you had to go back down a flight of stairs. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So for me, when I was a kid, I remember seeing like an orb in my closet. I was maybe 5, and I would wake up to the feeling of someone holding my hand, and it never scared me. I would just be like, oh, something's here holding my hand. It wasn't terrifying. So I think that's what started me being open to listening, seeing, not doubting. And yeah, because it happened many times. I just wake up like, oh, something's holding my hand.
An invisible friend there. You had your own Charlie.
Yeah, we talk to Bigfoot hunters, ghost hunters, UFO hunters all the time, and 99% of their cases and everything, benign, just something unusual. Half the time it's like, oh, bees in the walls or possums in the attic. That's, they're making the weird noises that they're hearing and stuff like that. So that's most of the cases. It's that 1% that you got to watch out for. And that's just like anything. That's the ones that they call us and go, okay, so this weird thing happened, Mark. This weird thing happened, Erica. You gotta hear about this. And those are our favorite things to listen to on our podcast. So when people tell us those stories, we're floored by those.
It's true. When I saw the trailer for The Sixth Sense, I see dead people. I was like, I don't need to watch this. This has been my life.
And that was
my mom told me when I was like 4 or 5 years old, she's like, you have to stop talking about these things because people will say you're crazy.
Yep.
So you can tell me, but stop saying it out loud.
And that was a good movie. Like, I didn't see a lot of that coming. Most people didn't. And that was, that was definitely a good movie. But yeah, oh my gosh, I love that you see dead people. Like,
I don't love that I see dead people.
okay, I get that.
We tried to take her to some of the places, and she's like, Trans Allegheny Lunatic Asylum. I couldn't even get her past the front door. So it was.
No.
Yeah, it was. She was
I could
done.
see them walking on the lawn. It was nope.
Do they ever like get together and do like little choreographed dances for you, get your attention, or like in the haunted mansion,
I would love that if it happened. I'll tell you, a lot of times, like, we see different ghosts that are like, Mark likes to call it stone tape, which is based on a movie where they're just the repeater ghosts that are going through the same actions over and over again. And those are ones you can't actually communicate with at all because they're just on repeat of whatever they're running through, right? And that's what a lot of people see when they see like Civil War ghosts marching across a battlefield or something. That's a repeater ghost. It's a stone tape. And then there are ones, though, a lot of times they're trying to tell you something, but it's not like they can sit down and have a conversation. So for me, I see pictures of what is going on, and sometimes they're okay, and then sometimes they're very unpleasant. And once whatever this is can sense that you can perceive them, very much like what you experienced with the thing downstairs. They're like, hey,
Yeah.
and you're like, ah. So.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, this one was Susan. Susie.
It's trying.
And I said, I am not going back in the basement alone, and no, you are not leaving with me. So I would not go back down there by myself. But we put things, there were little cat toys. They were clear balls with lights in them. We set on the table, and as we stepped away, one of them shot off the table. We're like, okay, well, there is somebody here. And my ghost actually showed up. I asked him to, and he did, thankfully. I bawled like a baby. But there was a lot going on down there. But you and I need to have a conversation, Erika, because I have some really great stories of things that he's done, and I would love to hear some of your stories.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, I have many, many Charlie stories growing up. And,
Good.
It's interesting, babysitting kids when I was younger, too. They'd be talking, and I could perceive something was there. I'm like, who are you talking to? And they'd explain fully who they thought they were talking to. And I'm like, yep. And then, of course, the parents were like, that's just their imaginary friend. And I'm like, other than it's sitting on the bed with them.
And again, we do the preternatural because we don't know how animals see in a billion different things that we can't see. And certain people can't taste cilantro right. It tastes like soap. Some people can't do certain things. There's a certain frequency that you lose when you hit like 17. Maybe it's something we lose and some people don't lose when we get older. And that's what we think is part of it. Again, preternatural stuff we don't understand yet. Hopefully we can study it at some point.
And if people want to catch up with you, learn more about you, and listen to your podcasts, let us know where to find them.
Yeah.
EerieTravels.com. You can see where we're going to be. We list all of our events. We're literally anywhere you can find podcasts, including YouTube. We're on twice a week, and we tell you where you can go travel to have some of these experiences, and also where there's cool food and drinks, and because there's nothing that a couple shots won't cure for me as far as going into a location.
So what do you like to shoot?
I'm a whiskey girl.
Same.
There we go.
Yeah.
These are, again, they're alternate versions of us.
Lately, my favorite is the Old Smoky Mango Habanero.
Yes.
See?
Oh my goodness. On the rocks.
Yeah.
I love that so much. It's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then our new book, Dark Side of the Smoky Mountains, is available from Four Horsemen Publishing. And it's a travel guide for going through the Smoky Mountains, the most popular state park in the country, or national park in the country.
And what's it called one more time? Dark Side?
Dark Side of the Smoky Mountains. It's a travel guide. Again, Erika puts in the eats and sleeps. I put in the spooky stuff. And we take you through so you can avoid Pigeon Forge Gallenberg, a.k.a. Baptist Vegas.
Oh,
and you can all the spooky
Isn't that the truth? Oh, my goodness.
It's like we're in the car with you. So that we wrote it, it's very conversationalist, talking back and forth, so that basically if we're good or bad, we're there with you the whole trip.
Oh my God. I love this so
Facebook
much.
gang.
I love you guys so much. This is amazing. Amazing.
We'll see you all on the other side. Have fun.
That's been Erika Lance and Mark Muncy. Thank you so much for joining us this morning on the WRMN Morning Show and our Weird Wednesday. This is probably my favorite segment ever.
Oh,
Favorite
absolutely.
segment ever.
Tune in tomorrow morning at 8. Tomorrow won't be as good, but at 8 o'clock on Thursday mornings, we put something weird in Elliot's mouth.
We'll see what that goes.
Oh, here we go.
Thanks for joining us, and thank you, everyone, for being with us. As always, you've got one life. Make the most of it and be kind.
Be kind.